Hello and welcome to this edition of Top of Mind Florida. How you doing, Brian?
I'm doing grand. How are you doing, Michael?
Doing very well, and we are joined by
Good
Wendy
morning.
Sartory Link.
Yes.
Familiar face to so many of us in our region and beyond, Palm Beach County Supervisor of Elections. Thanks for being with us.
It's my pleasure. I'm excited to be here.
As the name of our podcast implies, what's top of mind for you, especially as we look at what's going on in Tallahassee and what that'll mean for the vote in 2026.
Yeah, so Tallahassee, of course, we're in session, so things are always going to be busy. There are a lot of bills that will pop up. There's really one main bill in both the House and the Senate that's sort of I call it the big bill. The Secretary of State had a lot of input in that. And so we're watching that one closely. There are some smaller bills regarding candidates and some qualifying. But the big bill is, I'd say, because it does have a House and Senate companion, and it focuses on really three main things. One of them is documented proof of citizenship. One of them is what they're calling vote verification, which is a twist on what had been sort of audit and recount. And the third is what they're calling pen to paper voting, which in Palm Beach County has an effect, not only Palm Beach County, actually a handful of counties, on our use of express votes for early voting. So we're watching that very carefully.
Let's take them one at a time.
Sure.
DPOC, documented proof of citizenship. Are you all going to have to be getting in the business of proof of citizenship? What's that all about?
It could be. I mean, one of the things that we are saying, we really try to stay out of the policy. We recognize we're really a ministerial office, and we enforce and administer according to the laws that the legislature passes. What we get involved in when we're commenting on these bills is how are they going to affect the election administration. So with the proof of citizenship, if we are going to be expected to be checking everybody's proof of citizenship, we want it to be very clear what we do and what we don't accept, when we accept it, when we're required to get it. What are the deadlines? Because sort of this just confirms somebody's a citizen, and there are entire, legal fields on immigration law. So it can get very tricky and very specific, and sometimes somebody can become a citizen without any documentation. If they're a child of somebody who then moved here and they were in school here for at least a year, all kinds of different things. So we're just saying we're not equipped to be immigration lawyers, so we'll do whatever you tell us to do. But please make it clear which documents do we accept and which do we not, and at what time frame do we need to accept them. So that's really our message. If you're going to do it, make sure that we can follow the roadmap.
Well, how difficult is it now for your department to deal with all the laws that we have on the books now? It seems to me like it was a lot easier some years ago.
They continue to pile on, we'll say. But we adjust. I mean, it's kind of what we do.
You've been doing a lot of adjusting.
We're election administrators, and we are going to make sure that we can administer a fair, secure, transparent election, and we're going to do it based on the laws that the legislature passes. Do I love every law? No. Do I happen to personally agree with it? All of them? No. But that doesn't matter. My job is these are the laws, and we're going to run our elections following the laws on the books.
How would you describe the level of confidence among Floridians in the fairness of voting?
It's not, I don't think it's as bad as what you hear nationally. I think Florida had its moments, starting back in 2000.
I hear that was a weird little election this year.
But
He ruined his eyes with hanging chads.
So we've certainly had our time in the sun there for everybody to watch us. But I think and much credit to the legislature on this, our laws have changed, and the way we do things has changed, and we have become now really the gold standard. And so other states, I'm asked to go to other states to talk about how we do it. We get conversations all the time about what's Florida doing, how are you doing this, how did you turn around so fast? And then in Palm Beach County, we get asked even more, how did you turn Palm Beach County around from where it was even 7-8 years ago? And so I think people are much more confident in Florida maybe than they even are in other parts of the country.
So what do you tell supervisors of elections in other states about how to go about correcting whatever issues they need to do or improving the system?
Well, I think part of it starts, one of the reasons I think we're so successful in Florida is the 67 supervisors. Doesn't matter what party you come from or what your background is, they work really closely together to say, what can each one do? 67 people are going to have 67 different ways of doing it. Some are going to be better than others. And so people will learn from that. And one of the things that we find, people are willing to share. And so I will encourage other states, get an association, get yourselves together, because you are, one, stronger with your legislature if you're speaking one voice. And second, you can learn so much from each other and back each other up. And Florida's done that extraordinarily well.
Republicans in this state pushed hard for mail-in voting. You and I've talked about this for years, and now mail-in voting's under attack, not only by some in this state, but around the country. Talk about that.
So mail-in voting, again, I think Florida being a little different from some of the other states in that we do not mail to every voter. So a lot of states, every voter just gets mailed a ballot, whether you're going to vote by mail or not. Some states are only mail-in voting. Some, they have mail-in voting and in-person, but everybody gets mailed a ballot. Here in Florida, you have to make a request for a ballot. It's 12 days in advance of the election is your last day to make that request. When you make that request, you're giving us your name, your birth date, your address, and either your Florida driver's license, Florida ID, or the last 4 of your social. So we're getting a lot of personal identifying information from you to know that it is you making that request. And we send it out. We also, let people know how to track it so that they know their ballot's coming in the mail. And so I think that's one of the ways that we're more secure is people know that when they've requested the ballot, it's going to the right person. Then when it comes back, it goes through the signature verification process where we're comparing the signature on the envelope to the signature that's on file with us. If it doesn't match, and we do have, some older voters, maybe health reasons, Parkinson's, maybe a broken arm, whatever, that their signature has changed over time. And so if that's the case, they have the opportunity to cure their signature, and they can do that up until Thursday after the election.
I find the signature odd. My signature is not the same today as it was 10 years ago.
Right. You can update it.
But
right.
Suddenly you're going to look at my old voter ID and go, that's not your signature. I'm like,
right. Well, we're not looking for it to be an exact match, right? So, but you'll see now, we do not by any stretch of the imagination claim to be signature experts, okay? We are all required every year to take a 2-hour state certified signature verification training. So what they teach us is to look for certain things in the signatures.
That made me think of something. As we have legislation now bringing back teaching cursive, we also have people who I assume are of voting age that don't have a signature in cursive. So are they allowed to print?
Sure. It's what I mean, and I'm not kidding you when I tell you this. We have a voter whose signature is a house. They draw like a stick person house. It's whatever you put on file.
Really?
Fundamental with my handwriting. That's good.
I kind of like that.
Fundamentally, to skeptics and opponents of mail-in voting, what do you say about the security of that system?
It's very secure. For one, it is. We do everything that we're going to process. It's public, so one, you can come watch it. We encourage people. Our new building is really secure. All the other elections offices are similarly situated where they are always going to put it, like anytime we're processing, we have noticed it. We're going to, people can come see it. It goes through, we have chain of custody forms, so we know who's touched it, when it's come in. We are able to say, this batch had 200 in it when it came to this table. They're going to open it up. They should have, once they open it, should have 200 envelopes and 200 ballots. and then it's going to go from here to the tabulation, and it's still got to have 200 ballots, and then it's going to go to the audit, and it should still have 200 ballots. So we're checking that and noting who's touching it at each step of the way, and those are public record as well.
Circle back to, you brought this up, and I know you had mentioned voter verification and express voting were two things you were also keen on. Let's just circle back.
Sure.
What are your thoughts, concerns on both of those?
So vote verification is, I think it's very good. The devil's in the details. So we're going to need to make sure that they've got the administrative part of it right. Like what's step 1, step 2, step 3, how does it work? But assuming we can get that, the benefit
what does it mean to me at home when you say voter verification?
Right. So the benefit to the voter is we currently have a system where we audit and we have recounts when necessary. Our audit is post-certification. So we've already certified the election before we do the audit, and that's required by statute. This would have you do the audit before you certify. So if there's an issue, you're addressing it before you've certified the election. It also would have, we have been, since I bought the equipment in 2021, we have been doing 100% audits, but we're only required, if we're using machines, to do 20%. So this would take everybody to the 100%. So that's going to be better for everybody statewide. And then for the recounts, right now, if there's a recount, we go and we count all these ballots again, and whatever the count is the second time is magically the perfect, this is now the count, right? Which never made sense to me. Under this new vote verification, what it'll do is it'll say, if there's a ballot that was counted differently the first time and the second time, right? And we know that the technology, we're going to keep up with technology, and technology needs to keep up with us. And so the technology is such that I can tell you which ballot was counted differently between the two systems. So now I'm going to have two different systems looking at these ballots that are actually competitors in other states. So I'll have what was actually tabulated by the Florida Certified Tabulator, have whatever was audited or verified by the second one. And if they are different, I'm going to bring it to the canvassing board in a publicly noticed meeting and say, all right, here's here's a ballot. This is the way it was vote for candidate A on this system, and it was an overvote on this system. And so then they're going to be able to look at it and say, I see why it was an overvote, because there's this stray mark, but that was clearly a stray mark, not really an overvote. We're going to count it for candidate A, right? That then is very transparent, very public. Everybody can see it. And you're not just assuming the second count was the right count.
But not everybody wants to keep up with technology today. Some are wanting to get rid of technology. You need to show up. No absentee voting, no mail-in voting. Show up at the voting booth. What would the world be like if suddenly they made you do that?
A lot of long lines.
That's a gracious way of putting it.
Yeah, get comfortable when you're voting, because there'll be a lot of long lines.
It's not practical.
It's not. It's really not. And the hand counting, I mean, that's been debunked a million different ways. People cannot. It's just not accurate. And so the technology we have, we do pre-testing, we do post-audits, so that the machine counting is accurate. And if there is any question, like I said, about how it reads a ballot, you can bring that to a public canvassing board who has rules that they have to follow as to how they count it. So I think that's a good thing. Express vote, I'm not as excited about that part.
So when you talk about technology, why can't I vote online?
Well, they haven't. My understanding is you can do that in other countries. My understanding on the technology so far is that they have come up with how to make sure everybody votes only once, but not how to make sure you only voted once and make sure that your vote is confidential. So it's the secrecy of your vote is what I'm told.
Well, I can bank online.
I understand, but
and
people
a lot
know
of that's
how you're
supposed
banking.
To,
right. They know how you're banking now.
Yeah.
You're not trying to keep your secret. Your banker knows how much you have and what you took out and put in. You may not want me to know how you voted.
I just wanted we can go to the moon, but we can't
Yeah.
have online banking.
Yeah.
I mean, voting.
Express voting, just simply put, you've brought that up a few times now. Simply put, to me, the voter, what is express voting? Some of us have used it, some not. Basically, right. What is it, and what are your worries about what's going on in Tallahassee?
Okay, so it's ADA, it's our ADA equipment. So for Americans with Disabilities Act, we have to have equipment that will work for people who have any sort of disability or handicap. There was a law passed in 2018 that starting in 2019, everybody could use it. So it wasn't just for people who had any sort of accessibility issues. So we and other counties took advantage of that and did a trial first in 2021, which is some special elections. It was wildly popular. We met with both parties ahead of time. Both parties endorsed it, thought it was a great idea. It makes the lines go much faster. I can print an express vote ballot in 3 seconds as opposed to 45 seconds for a 2-page ballot that I'm doing. So just on that alone, printing your ballot on demand for early voting is going to go faster. For the voter, they're looking at a touchscreen machine, but it's just a ballot marking device. It is not tabulating your vote at all. It doesn't have any memory, has no memory stick in it. It's basically a printer. But you can go onto this machine, and voters love it because it's larger print.
Ooh.
It's yeah.
Magic words for
yeah.
me.
So it's larger print. You can do black on white, white on black. It's in 3 different languages. You can choose your language, so you're only looking at one language at a time. You can change your vote. It does not allow you to overvote.
So what's the problem in Tallahassee? What's going on?
Somebody decided they didn't like that they want it to be pen to paper.
What's somebody?
Whoever drafters of the bills. I
Right.
think it comes
Okay.
from the Secretary of State's office,
Okay.
perhaps, but there are others who say, well, you need to do this. Interestingly, the President of the United States has voted on this equipment in our county and complimented it and liked it. So I think that the issue is in other states, the machine that looks very much like our machine actually tabulates your vote.
Okay.
That I understand a problem with because Florida's a paper ballot state. So every vote has to be on a paper ballot. And in Florida, when you vote on this express vote machine, it prints your paper ballot that you can look at, verify that that's the way you want to vote, and then you put it into the tabulator, same tabulator that the pen to paper ballots are going. Currently in Florida, you have a choice. When you go to vote on early voting, you say, I would prefer this type of ballot or that type of ballot. I'd say overall, probably 90% of the people who have the choice currently choose to use the express vote. Certain of our locations have more people who like the pen to paper than others, but they have that opportunity. Everybody's got that choice. So our take on it is leave the choice. Like let the voter have their choice because it does speed up the lines. It does prevent people from making mistakes with overvoting. It reduces spoiled ballots. The voters are happier because they can see better. And so if they don't want that and they want the paper ballot, they can get it. Yeah.
Well, what do you do about it? This happens more in general elections. How do you encourage people to vote more down ballot? Right? At the top of the ballot, they're voting for governor, U.S. senator, president, whatever. Everybody votes, right? Then you start going down ballot to the local races, amendments, and things, and the voting tally drops off. What do you do about that?
We'll just encourage people when they check in, depending upon if it's a front and back one pager. We try our best to get things on one page if we can, because people just mentally, once they finish one page, they often won't go to page 2. So we really try when we're designing the ballot to get as much on one piece of paper as possible, even if it means going to a 17-inch ballot. So, but we'll just remind people when you check in, there are 2 sides to this ballot. Don't forget the second page. We'll also, when we have all the amendments, while they're in line, we print out all the amendments and we send out a laminated thing. If you haven't read these yet, read them while you're in line because it'll be faster when you get up there.
It seems at the end of the day, for all the ongoing hoo-ha over election integrity, the real issue is not with tech, it's about turnout. You had an interesting stat to that point that while we're talking about that, the big issue, what's going on in Palm Beach County, and my demographic expert, who's as good as anybody about breaking down trends at the state and Palm Beach County level, you had an interesting stat about that.
Right. So we've got about 870,000 active registered voters. Of course, we have another couple 100,000 that are inactive. Inactive voters can also vote, to be clear. But of our active registered voters, which is what the state primarily looks at, in Palm Beach County, we are now 35% Democrat, 34% Republican, 27% NPA, no party affiliation, and then 4% of the minor parties. It's all about turnout now. We're
I'm
as
Oh,
purple
yeah.
as we can get.
I'm shouting this, well, we are as purple as we can here. And this guy, to his credit, long before others were doing it, was like, we're turning red, Mike, we're turning red. And people would come on and say, well, we're purple. He's like, statewide, no, we're
Right.
not. And in Palm Beach County, to your point you've been making for years.
Oh, we might still be purple-ish, but who knows for how long.
Right.
But I think the number that people don't talk about enough is the no party.
Yeah.
Right.
That number has, over the years, increased, not just in Palm Beach
27%?
County,
Right.
but
Statewide,
statewide.
yeah.
And what does that say about the attitude of voters toward both parties? And that may not be an area that you want to get into.
Right,
But,
well, yeah, I can't really get into that. Interestingly, when we have seen the no party affiliation voters decrease a little bit, it's been at the same time the Republicans have increased. So does that mean that NPA has switched over to Republican? Possibly, because it used to be Democrats had the highest, then NPA, then Republican. Now, you can see it's 1% difference. It's all about
well, I'm a
turnout.
lifelong NPA, and I'm very proud of it.
And in our final moments, you, even though we've got a broad audience, a little bit of a public service announcement about what's coming up in Palm Beach County, and then a final top of mind thought, because I know you speak a lot to a lot of audiences, and I know you're asked, can I trust the vote? It's this fundamental issue. Save that for last. But first, what's
Sure.
going on in your county in a few weeks?
Well, and I think in a lot of counties
Yeah.
have March municipal elections.
But hyper focus on you right
yeah,
now.
so we've got 19 municipal elections coming up on March 10th. So it's going to be one of our bigger municipal elections. So that'll be March 10th. We want everybody to get their voter registration in by February 9th for that. Vote by mail requests in by February 26th. Then right away, 2 weeks later, we have the general election for House District 87. So that'll be on March 24th. We also, at the same time as that, we have a special election for Village of North Palm Beach because they had a death. So we've got sort of back-to-back elections. There'll be some overlap for those voters who are in both and that are going to have vote-by-mail ballots. We did try to help them. So it's really important that the right ballot go in the right envelope. And people aren't going to be thinking about that. So we have color coded them. So top of your ballot's going to have yellow on it if it's a municipal election, purple on it if it's a House district. So please match your ballots with your envelopes. That's going to be important.
Just don't do red, green. I'm colorblind. I'll
yellow
just call
and
Brian.
purple, yellow and purple.
Brian, what am I doing here?
Trying to make something really simple. Nobody thinks it's one party or the other.
Final, so across Palm Beach County, across the Treasure Coast, and as you aptly pointed out, across the state, pay attention. Of course, this is for us to discuss. It'd be a lot more if there weren't so many running unopposed across our county elections. You'd have a lot more you're working with.
Sure.
We can talk about that. Final thought to people who challenge you on, can I trust the vote?
You can trust the vote. And we encourage people to come to the office and watch it themselves. I feel like you can trust a little bit more what you can see. And especially with our new building, the way it's designed, it is so open. It is so transparent. We want people there. We want people watching it. Then they can ask questions and we can answer them for them too. But the vote is very secure. We have a lot of, like I said, chain of custody. We have a lot of ways that we're tracking that ballot, who's touching that ballot, the security of the machines, the security of how it's done, the training that goes into all of the poll workers as well as our staff and temporary staff that we deal with. It is something that people can count on. I'm a voter here as well as the election administrator. That's incredibly important to me, that whether the person I want to win wins or not, I know that the vote was fair.
Wendy Sartory Link, Palm Beach County Supervisor of Elections. We appreciate, by the way, she's been fighting laryngitis the last few weeks and been soldiering through at public engagements and coming to be on our podcast. We really appreciate it.
No, it's my pleasure. Thank you.
Well, she was great. She always is. One of the things I always think about with the no party affiliation, of which, as I mentioned, I've been all my life, no party affiliation, but nearly, 27%, I think she said, of the voters in Palm Beach County, and that's about the number, I think, statewide. And it's led me to believe in recent years that maybe it's time for Florida to go to open primaries. We have so much stridence on both sides that I think the way to get to the middle of the road a little better is to go to the no party affiliate votes, go to the open primary, because you're not going to bring those people over to vote for you with screaming and shouting. If they were encouraged by that, they would have joined your party. Instead, maybe you had to be more persuasive. Maybe you had to think a little bit more in the middle. So maybe open primaries is a way to help bring some kindness back to our
a theme
elections.
that we need to talk about. To Wendy Sartory Lincoln, I want to pick up on your point. Really came in and righted the ship in Palm Beach County. We'd had a lot of criticisms about the way things were being handled in the elections office. She came into a tough environment, done a great job. To your point, Brian, which we brought up with her at the end of that segment, and I want to ask if what you just talked about open primary, might it encourage more people to get engaged, get involved, get into the race? Because we have, I think at one point, Stet News, our friends at Stet News, it was several dozen, I even want to say close to maybe 50 races that we're looking at in the next month or so, unopposed.
Yeah.
She'd have a lot more races she'd have to be dealing with, but they're unopposed. Would your thought about open primaries, do you think could help fight that trend?
I think it could help fight that trend. And I think that part of the reason, if you want to run in either party right now, you have to be hardcore if you want to, especially in the primaries, because voters in primaries tend to be the hardcore on both sides. So if you're going to be a candidate, you have to appeal to that. If you have open primaries, you're going to have to be a little more moderate about some things anyway. And I think you might get more candidates who are willing to, compromise on issues, talk to the other side and stuff. And,
what a concept.
Do shockingly good things for democracy.
Sounds good to me.
I'd give it a try. If I were king of Florida tomorrow, we'd have open primaries.
I'm fitting you for a crown right now.
Thank you.
Crowley
I look pretty good at it, too.
Okay, it's better if I brag on you. Crowley closer.
Well, I want to thank everybody who watches or listens to our podcast, Top of Mind Florida. We've gotten some great comments recently. I've got a wonderful email the other day complimenting our podcast, and thank you all for watching and listening, and I hope you subscribe.